Hey guys, I'm cutting in because we have some very special announcements to make before we start the Freddy Vs. Jason podcast. And to do that, I brought on a very special guest.
Hi.
My mother, who wrote a very interesting review for the podcast.
That was me.
People online have been very happy with the Toddy body.
Well, that's your name.
Well, in certain circles that were not online until recently.
Well, it's a family, right? I thought you said this whole thing is like having a family.
There are aspects of that.
Okay, good. That's what your name is, in the family.
You know I'm on a podcast, right, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you know the premise of the podcast?
Yeah, it's something about horror shows.
Horror shows.
Is it?
It's mainly movies.
Okay.
It's movies, yeah.
Okay, movies, horror movies.
And so you don't like horror movies either.
Oh, I hate them. They're horrible.
They're the worst. The podcast launched a little over 2 weeks ago, and the response to it has been sort of insane. None of us are like famous or anything, as you well know. So.
Oh, wait a minute. You're Todd Awesome. You're famous.
Well, you're my mom and are required to say nice things. Like when you used to tell me I was cool in middle school.
You were cool.
When it's your mom saying it, it doesn't mean quite as much.
Oh, that's disappointing for me.
It's been 2 weeks since the launch, and we've had an insane amount of downloads and an insane amount of subscriptions, which has been great. Honestly, people online have been very excited about it. People have been asking for, hey, you should do this next, you should do this next, you should do Tremors next, which that's coming, guys, calm down. People started to notice. So one of the people that started to notice was the two guys that run the Modern Horrors podcast network. I'm sure you're familiar with them, Mom.
No idea. I mean, I just learnred how to podcast.
Right. Well, now you're on one.
Yeah.
Look at how fast that happened.
I know.
You went from writing a review for a podcast last night to being on one this morning. That's impressive.
Insane.
It is insane. So we had lunch with them, and they wanted to bring us on their podcast network, which is very flattering.
Well, of course, they had met you, so of course they wanted you.
Well, they hadn't met us yet, although I am very charming in face-to-face meetings.
Yes, you are. Oh my gosh, of course you are.
So we met with them. They invited us to join their network, which of course we accepted. The Modern Horrors Podcast Network isn't just the Modern Horrors Podcast, which they do have, and they're great, but they also have the Final Girls Podcast, and there's also a podcast called On Death and Dying, which is a lot of fun. We wanted to tell you guys about it out there so you guys would know what we were doing and that we had joined their network. So, Mom, and if you want to follow the Modern Horrors Podcast Network, you can by going to @ModernHorrors, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Okay.
I actually know you're on all three of those. And it's funny because I can tell when you log on to Instagram because I'll get like 7 notifications rapid fire that my mom liked my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I do.
And you can also check out their site at modernhorrors.com. We're actually going to have them on our show. We're going to go on their show. We've got a lot of fun collaborations coming up with those guys. Do you want to come on and do it?
No. I told you I can't watch those things. They're horrible.
Do you remember the last time you watched a horror movie?
Honey, I have never watched a horror movie.
You've never watched a horror?
No.
And not one?
No.
Really?
No, all of my friends in high school were like all excited about Rosemary having a baby or something like that. And they started describing it, and I had to go screaming down the hallway. I could not even listen to their conversation. Yeah. It's awful.
That's like one of the... people love that movie, Mom.
Yeah, it's a bad thing.
I've never seen it.
They were all excited about that, and I was like, no, I know myself too well. I can't expose myself to that kind of thing. But I'm afraid a horror movie would just send me right over the top. You'd be visiting me in some kind of a funny place.
Some kind of a funny place is my favorite turn of phrase for a psych ward.
Yes.
Some kind of funny place. All right, do me a favor, Mom. We are going into our episode for Freddy vs. Jason.
Please enjoy this episode of Freddy vs. Jason.
That was the best. All
of the Horror Virgin.
Yes, of the Horror Virgin. All right, guys, have a good one.
You had a tough time on this movie.
Yeah,
you really did, because it was the first one you've seen in theaters.
Let's do the whole thing where we introduce ourselves before we actually jump into it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I was gonna do that, but whatever.
Well, I ruined it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Horror Virgin. I'm Clint.
I'm Todd.
I'm Jennifer.
And we watched Freddy vs. Jason.
Yes.
In the theater.
In the theater. Full Moon Cineplex.
Todd popped his theater cherry. Now,
you saw Blair Witch.
You did see Blair Witch.
I went
in
on
theaters.
what I will consider a date, but she would not, to the Blair Witch Project with a girl in high school that
What's her name?
Obsessed with.
What's her name?
Not obsessed with in like a bad way.
We went to the same high school. What's her name?
We'll get to all that. I wasn't like
Did
obsessed
you give her
with
first name?
I wasn't obsessed with her in a bad way. I had like a huge crush on her.
Okay.
and we went on this one date, and I'll go ahead and say that.
Not date.
Well, I mean, it was me and her, and we went to go see a movie.
And then you acted like a little
As
bitch in
friends,
the theater,
though?
and then she dumped you.
Yeah, it was sort of as friends. Like,
So it's like in the space where like you're going to see something together, but you're kind of trying to turn it into a date, and maybe like you'll put your head on his shoulder at some point, and that's where you.
well,
know,
first
like,
off,
you
it
know.
was only me, I think, trying to turn it into a date.
Well, that's always how those situations are.
Yeah.
Did you grab her like you grabbed me last night in the middle of the movie?
did I-
5 million
did I grab
times?
you?
You grabbed me a lot.
You bumped
whenever
my
you
chair.
No,
got
I
scared.
didn't. But that was the last time we went out. So
Okay.
it was the Blair Witch Project.
No.
And now she's married to a great guy, living a great life, has 2 wonderful kids, and she's hotter now than she was in high school.
It sounds like you're
I
still
hate
kind
her
of involved in
so
her life.
much.
She
No,
doesn't
we're
know that.
We're
But
friends on Facebook. We comment on each other's stuff occasionally. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not bitter about
she's
it.
the one that got away, isn't she?
No, she's not. No, but she's really a good person, and so was her husband. Like, I was friends with her husband in high school. I was
Do you
charming
think that
and
she
funny
didn't
and
want to
stuff.
go out with you again because she saw how scared you were?
Yeah, I absolutely do think that.
Yeah, that's a scary movie, though.
And I will say,
it's not.
I will say this: it also wasn't a date. Like, it was just 2
Yeah.
friends. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's off the hook for leading me on or whatever you guys might assume she
yeah.
was doing, because she was not. It was very clear she was
After
not
that
interested in
first
me that way.
scream, she was like, "Whoop, we're not."
We'll
Well,
save
yeah.
that- we'll save-
when I screamed, then it was much higher pitched than her scream was.
So Todd.
Yes.
Yes. You.
There are boobs in this movie.
There are boobs.
Yeah.
I feel like
think there are probably
this
boobs in
was
every
the
movie.
toughest time you've had with the movies we've watched so far.
I will
this
say
was the
I-
roughest for you. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Absolutely. I mean, before this, the biggest jump scary movie was Urban Legend. No S. Clint.
Thank you.
Urban Legend, and it was it had some jump scares. Those are the ones that really get me.
Okay.
Freddy vs. Jason was like, especially like the first 45 minutes before it got almost comical towards the end. And we'll talk about it because we
Yeah.
have a synopsis we're going to go through. But like, it was really scary. Like, it was
Yeah.
very jump scary.
It was not, but go on.
Oh my God. You guys were sitting next to me in the theater, and I was like, turning
You were the only one.
Yes.
We had like maybe 30 people in that theater.
Yeah.
And
I
you
was
were-
like-
And it was really fun.
I was like turning
was fun.
around,
Like, this
looking
theater was
behind
really
me,
cool, and I'd never been, and it's like a horror theater, and Clint knows more about it than me, but they had all of the posters and signed by stuff, and I just wanted to walk around and look at like, ooh, there's Leatherface, and ooh, there's, you know.
The
It was a
witch
good time.
in the
It was.
bathroom scared the shit out of me.
There's not
Yes,
a witch in the girls'
This is
bathroom.
not in the movie. There is an actual witch in the bathroom of the theater we were at, and it gets me every time.
Like a
every
real
time I go
witch.
in there.
Yeah. She's asking if she can like put soap in your hands to like.
Oh, really?
And you got to tip her. No, it's not like that. It's like a
It's pretty creepy.
it's like a bathroom
Yeah.
attendant.
No, it was fun, and we had a big group, and Clint, your sister was there.
My sister was there, and
she was.
well, Freddy vs. Jason is
Hey, now.
no joke. Freddy vs. Jason might be her favorite movie. Period.
Yeah,
not
and I was
just in
talking
horror.
to her about that because
Really?
I'm
But
fascinated by that.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, she sort of. I mean, that's.
Really?
That was all she got because of her age. Like,
Yeah.
she's
Well,
a
she
little bit
told
younger, and so
me-
she missed all the Elm Streets growing up. She
Yeah.
missed all the
and she
the
told me it was
Jasons.
because you watched it, and she would watch it with you too.
Well, yeah, no, we're big horror fans. We
Yeah.
do that.
Hey
We do
Todd,
that a lot.
why were we all hanging out at this theater last night?
Oh yeah, it was Clint's birthday.
It was Clint's
Gross.
So we went to dinner before, and it was
Guess
Clint's
my
birthday.
age based on my voice.
Yeah, 24.
Solid 24.
Yeah, we got you a gift.
What? You're giving me something on
Oh,
air?
yeah.
Oh my
The
God.
phone fell out. Hold on, this thing has been hiding in my.
I've
You
never
got
gotten
a
a
gift.
I've never gotten a podcast gift before. What is
It's
this?
called a
I'm actually
pod
really
gift.
excited. I'm opening this right now.
Just-
Yep.
Get that good.
All right.
Get that good ripping
Oh, the
audio.
box is purple.
I mean, it's just a box that I
Oh, it's
had.
just a random
Hey, if
box?
you like this, it was my idea. If
It
you
was.
do not,
And if I hate it, it's
is
Todd's idea.
It's 100% her
Okay, hold
idea.
on.
I don't think the box is taped together. Just open it like a normal.
All right.
person.
Just open it like a man, Clint. Just
I
pull
can't.
it out.
I don't
Pull
know
it
what
out.
it's like. Oh shit. Oh, it is a T-shirt of some kind. Oh my God! This is a Chucky shirt.
Yes, you
I
talk
don't
about
know if
Chucky
Jen,
too
I don't know if
much.
Jen and Todd know this. This is from Bride of Chucky
Is
because
it
he has
really?
the stitches on his face.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
This is amazeballs. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
We thought you'd love it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So the movie last night,
Yeah.
Freddy vs. Jason, was the
Yeah.
scariest movie I've seen.
And just in case people have not,
Full
if
stop.
this is the first episode they're listening to, Todd, you have not seen any of the Elm
Nope.
Streets or any of the Friday the 13th.
I know they exist, and I
Okay.
know generally some of the story to it. Like, I know who
Okay.
Freddy is. I didn't know Freddy was a pedophile, so that surprised me at the very beginning of this movie. I'm like, oh, Freddy loves to fuck kids. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. But I knew Crystal Lake, and I knew the story of Jason drowning and stuff, and they go into that
Yeah.
in this movie too, but I sort of knew that coming in.
So just to
But
clarify
the rest
for
of
the
it was new.
Okay, so just to clarify for the diehard Elm Street fans, like, so he didn't actually, it was unclear whether he fucked kids. It was clear that he murdered kids, but then in the remake, they made it
really
very clear that he raped children, which upset a lot of people.
Really?
So, yeah. Just the fans.
I haven't seen the original in a long time. But yeah, I always thought that's why the parents killed him, right?
That's why they killed him. Yeah. Well, yeah, he had in the movie in the original series he had murdered some children. But yeah, there was always like a hint of some sexual stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there definitely was in this movie too.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say that Robert Englund looks like a pedophile, but he can actually
he looks like a pedophile.
Yeah.
When the movie started, you know, we get a little bit of Robert Englund kind of playing himself. We're not playing himself, but
wow.
Without the burns.
Sued.
Like Freddy without the burns. And my sister...
Robert Englund is a pedophile. You heard it here first. And if you want to disagree with us, Robert, get on this podcast and defend yourself against Clint's accusations.
Yeah, we don't care about him. We only care about Philippi.
What are you saying?
Get up in us, Philippi.
Well, he's already been up in one of us.
Anyway, so the beginning... The beginning of this movie, when we saw the real Robert Englund, my sister turned to me and she goes, "Isn't it weird how he's creepier than Freddy? Like just his own face is creepier than Freddy."
Well, it's because we've seen him as Freddy so much, or that everyone knows him as Freddy. Like you're probably more comfortable seeing him that way than you are his regular face.
Like
but
Urban
you said
Legend.
to me, you were like, "Hey, isn't that the teacher from Urban Legend?"
Yeah.
No one has ever said it that way.
I know.
Ever.
I know. I was like, hey, I recognize that guy. Isn't he the teacher from Urban Legend? Yeah, that's him. That's him. But no joke, in this movie, did I scream at all in this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. You screamed a lot.
The thing is, you guys tell me afterwards what I do, and I don't necessarily remember doing it. Like, I don't remember grabbing you. Did I grab you more than once?
Yes, you did. And there was one time, this is my favorite. Someone is in someone else's face, and that face turns into Freddy's face.
Oh, yeah.
And you, face planted yourself into the table.
Yeah.
Like, you were just arms overhead, like, couldn't handle it, and we were laughing so fucking hard.
And you said, like, I don't like this. I don't want to do this.
Oh,
I don't like this.
don't.
I'm very uncomfortable.
I seriously thought
can't
you were
do
going to
this.
leave at a couple of parts. And this is a theater that sometimes hires people dressed as the movie characters to come in and scare people during the movie.
See, now
and
I
you
don't
were
like
paranoid that Freddy or Jason...
Well, you told me that beforehand.
Yeah.
So, like, every 3 minutes I was
you
looking
kept
over
looking
my
around.
shoulder.
Yeah. And everybody thought it was like the funniest thing ever.
It's going to be like cats when they come in, like, dance on you.
Anyone that got up behind me to walk out to go to the bathroom and come back, I was like...
Every single fucking time.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, Adam got up at one point. You were like, what? What?
And you would always bump my chair, so I would think something was going on.
Let's talk about let's get in it.
Let's
get in
so
it.
Do you have this? Because
I do, yeah. So
I
we
have
saw
some
this
info,
last
too.
night.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the first. Yeah, Clint, you probably have some more information about how this got made.
I am pretty bad about remembering.
Yeah,
Right.
so this
In
is the
general.
first time that we have recorded when we have not
Just watched the movie, yeah.
Yeah, we saw it last night.
So and Todd was trying to take notes on his phone, and Clint kind of
Clint yelled at me.
I think I know enough. I can
Clint
guide us because I've
literally
seen this
said
movie
this to me.
1,000 times. What's
Clint
that?
Not that kind
literally-
of place.
Yeah, it's not that kind of theater, Todd.
Well,
No, it
I had some
wasn't.
fun with Wikipedia. I wrote down an order of events.
Can we start with that though?
Yeah.
Because okay.
Okay, so Freddy is sad because he has no power. He manipulates Jason to come back.
Can I ask why he doesn't have any power, or is that
Because
stuff?
they're not afraid of him. This
is that
how,
stuff I shouldn't know? It's gonna be explained in other
You
movies.
will not remember us talking about this
Yeah.
if we
That's
get
fair.
to Freddy's dead, which is basically what...
I love how you know
Haven't seen that one.
how
Freddy's dead. Okay, so
dumb I am.
Freddy vs. Jason disregards New Nightmare because New Nightmare was a meta picture where the actors
Yeah.
of the Elm Street series realize that Freddy is an actual entity in their own lives and in Wes Craven's life. This disregards that. This just goes back to the
to
original.
like avoid the good movie.
To avoid the good movie, correct. I felt bad for Todd because I forgot that the opening of this movie really recaps the most horrible and gory parts
Yeah.
of every Elm Street.
Like
Yeah.
the vein part.
And you were
my
like
God.
flipping out.
No
Yeah.
joke. The first 5 minutes of this movie, I was like, if it's like this, I have to go.
Yeah,
I
that was a
cannot
little hard for
stay
me
here.
too because it was a
Yeah.
lot of the gory stuff that I usually don't
Dude,
watch.
when Freddy's face came out of that guy's chest, I like.
Oh,
I
yeah,
literally
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, oh.
And there was another
Like,
one.
it was
It's a shot of
rough.
3 at the end of 3 when he reveals that the souls of the children
Oh,
are
yeah,
in
yeah,
his
in his
chest,
chest,
which
yeah.
is amazing.
See, and I haven't seen most of those movies, so I had only
God.
seen like the ones from 1 and New Nightmare.
We're gonna get in it. We're gonna get in
Yeah.
it for sure.
Oh god, I feel sick already.
But so
Yeah.
the way that you defeat Freddy, because his power comes from your fear and your dreams, is you're just not afraid of him anymore. At
Right,
least in
so-
the original. This might be different in like all the 9 million sequels.
Let's talk about this first little segment here because
Okay.
He comes back, right? So Freddy comes back because
Freddy does not have enough power to actually kill anybody anymore because nobody's
Right.
afraid of him anymore because
So
the police have suppressed everybody who knew about it
Right.
and kind of stamped
They
out.
can't remember their dreams anymore.
Yes.
And that's
Now,
that's
to
a
answer
thing.
your other,
question behind the question,
yeah. That was not set up in any previous Freddy movies.
Okay.
This is something
Right.
that was
Okay.
just, yes.
And they also don't show Freddy reaching out to Jason's mom, who then awakens Jason and sends Jason to go to Elm Street Town or
Now,
whatever.
I think Jason's not really asleep. He's still killing people over at Camp Crystal Lake.
No, they showed
Right?
his body becoming like reanimating, right?
regenerating?
I think that he was dreaming or
maybe
something.
he was dreaming he was
Okay.
killing somebody?
Just to let you know, Todd, the deaths of Freddy and Jason are always confusing.
Right.
Because
Okay.
they die at the end of every movie and then they get resurrected at the end of every
Right.
movie.
And it's like sometimes you can
Okay.
only kill them by cutting their head off, and sometimes you have to like rip their heart out and stomp on it or something. There's all kind of
or
different
electrocute them. And
rules.
then
Right.
the
Or
way
like
that-
you can only kill them with a certain axe or something.
Yeah,
I
and
might
it
be
usually comes
mixing
down
Michael
to,
up in
I
this, too.
believe this, I haven't seen Jason Goes to Hell in a long time, but I
I love Jason
believe
Goes to Hell.
they all sort of end in the same way, which is they have to be killed by somebody in their own bloodline. A relative has to kill them.
And that's a Halloween thing too, right?
That is a
Interesting.
Halloween thing,
Okay.
but that Halloween has ditched that and
Yeah.
then brought it back and ditched that and brought it back.
This is why I don't watch all these sequels because
Oh,
I
they're-
can't keep it all straight.
No, Halloween is probably the most
And
confusing.
you bitch
but
about Star Wars sequels.
I do bitch about
For
yeah,
real.
yeah. But nobody cares about the consistency of these movies. Like Star Wars is like
True.
prime movie
Yeah.
real estate. But anyway, so at the end of Freddy's Dead, his daughter kills him, and you think that that's it.
Was that
and
5?
That was 6.
6.
And it is a very, very bizarre movie. It's basically made for potheads. Roseanne Barr's in it,
What?
and Tom Arnold.
I am out.
Roseanne's there asking about QAnon.
It would be
But
fun
yeah.
to watch you watch Freddy's Dead because
my
it is
God.
just it's
I mean, I'll
fucking
watch
weird,
it.
man.
I really like Jason Goes to Hell.
You guys seem to enjoy watching me watch this.
we love watching you.
Yeah.
It's the worst. Anyway, so they go to that girl's house. I can't remember anyone's name, but
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't know most of their names, so I'm
They go
calling
to the-
them like
Let's go with their
Pansy
actor,
and-
Monica Keena.
they go to the final girl's house, right? And have a party,
yes.
right?
Yeah, they're having
And
like
then-
a little girls' night, and then the guys crash.
Right, and then the guy who gets murdered first is like
I just call him asshole.
talking to the drunk chick, like,
dick.
"Hey,
I already
let's
told
go,
you once."
Let's go upstairs." Yeah,
Yeah.
that dude was
Get
the
on
best.
it.
Yeah.
No.
So let's just get
He
this
was
out.
the
Let's get this out of the way right
No,
now.
I mean he was horrible, but he was like
He was a horrible,
He was
horrible-
the best at
Yeah.
being a horrible dude.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that is part of the slasher formula.
Right.
Yes.
Like Todd was like, I bet she's gonna die soon.
Oh,
She's
I knew
talking
he was gonna
about
die first. Yeah, because
Smokey Drunker.
he was an asshole and had sex. I was like, he's gonna
Right.
die first.
Yeah.
But how is this guy this abusive and he's only like 15?
Right.
Like he's just give me a beer, bitch.
Yeah.
So you think he's got a rough home life? What you're saying?
Maybe.
Possibly. I mean,
He's very judgmental about smoking, too, though.
He wore a gold necklace.
Yeah.
Okay. And at
Oh,
this point in
and-
time, gold necklaces mean
And doesn't cuddle after
you
sex.
have a horrible past.
After
Yes.
after that
Yeah,
chick
didn't he
rides
tell
his
her
dick
that
off.
she stunk?
Yeah.
And she had to
Smells
go
like
take a
cigarette.
shower?
Well, apparently
Yeah.
he had a
Menthols.
problem with her smoking cigarettes, which is
Menthols are the best smelling of the cigarettes, too.
Yeah, but it triggers him.
Oh,
his
because
dad,
of his rough home life?
His
Totally
dad
triggers
smokes
him.
and beats
I got
his
a
mom.
carton of
beer doesn't trigger
cigarettes.
him.
It was a banner
but
fucking
cigarettes
beer.
totally.
This is
trigger
why
him.
he has like the issues he has. His dad smokes menthols and beats his mom, and he tries to intervene, and he gets beat.
Yeah.
So he has to go be an asshole to his
is the
girlfriend.
real victim in
Yeah,
this
like
movie.
guys, I think we're focusing on the wrong villain in this first scene.
Basically, every man in this movie is a piece of shit except
Oh,
for
yeah.
Jason Ritter. He's the only one that isn't like a
I don't know,
complete
that's
Jason
blonde.
Ritter? Oh, the guy who plays the main dude.
Yeah.
Blonde-
Will. His
blonde
name is
guy.
Will.
Will. Okay,
Yeah.
can we just get this out of the way right now? Horrible acting.
All
Oh
around.
my
All
God.
around.
Across
But
the
I'll say
all
this.
around.
No, Jason was pretty good.
Unlike-
Jason and Freddy were good.
Solid.
And I will hand it to Chris Marquette. He was good. He was
Which one's that?
he played the nerd.
Oh, yeah.
You
I
actually
just
felt
called
for him.
him
That was
nerd.
like the
Oh,
only
yeah.
death that I kind of cared about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evan Handler.
Because he's solid, but everyone else. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone else. Did you guys know who played Monica Keena's best friend?
Yeah, Kelly Rowland. Is it Kelly Rowland?
Kelly Rowland.
Rowland,
Who's
yeah.
that?
Of Destiny's Child fame.
I thought that was
Yeah,
her.
I called her Destiny's Child in America.
When did this movie come out?
2003.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
she was
And
she
I
looked
remember
really
when
young
like
and
it came out.
And it was like a thing when,
Yeah.
that she was going to be in a movie.
Trying
And she,
acting, triple
to this
threat.
today has only acted in 2 theatrical
What's the other
movies. Think Like a Man.
I honestly don't think she was awful, but
I didn't know that off the top of my head.
I don't think she was awful,
Sure.
but she was next to a bunch of awful actors
wasn't
and
bad.
actresses.
Oh,
so
Kelly Rowland? I thought she was the worst.
Really?
I thought
Did
she
you
was the
see
worst.
Monica Keena?
I did. And to be fair, Monica Keena, I have seen her be pretty decent in other things, but in this,
Like Dawson's
holy
Creek.
shit, man.
Yeah, she was.
I've noticed that every B movie we've done has included Dawson's Creek members.
Quick.
Well, we've kind of been watching movies like Urban
Dirk's
Legend
Creek.
and Urban
Whatever.
Legend and
Yeah.
Freddy vs. Jason was still kind of in the era of Dawson's Creek. I
Yeah.
think was still on around.
I don't think
around this
anybody
time.
in Poltergeist was in Dawson's Creek though,
Nope.
or The Exorcist.
Nope.
Well, that's why I
So
said
you're 50% wrong.
Yeah.
no.
Todd.
I said all the B movies. You morons!
Oh,
if you
sorry.
listen to
These are
what
not
I
B
actually
movies,
said.
Todd.
No, she was okay on Dawson's Creek. I didn't like her character on Dawson's Creek, but she just
She killed
annoyed
herself, so it was fine.
Jesus out of me. It was an accident.
On the show.
Yeah,
Not
she
in real
got
life.
drunk and fell in
I
the
am,
Not in
creek.
real life.
I am not going to watch. She died from falling into a creek.
In Dawson's Creek.
She was drunk.
How big was this?
She didn't
creek?
fall into the creek, or was it? No, she fell into a swimming pool. Wasn't that it?
It was on the dock or something. She and Jenn were
What?
sitting on a railing outside of like a beauty pageant or something.
Yeah,
and they were
and
Creek has
drinking.
a dock.
Yeah.
How big? This is
How
not
do
a
you
creek.
get a boat?
It's basically a lake, Todd. And if you watch the creek, you would know. You would
Yeah.
know all of this. Why?
Come on, Todd.
I'm not going to
Spin-off
watch this.
podcast?
Sounds horrible.
Somebody had to have done a Dawson's Creek
I'm
podcast
sure.
by
Dirk's
now.
I don't know.
Creek.
It's pretty unwatchable going back.
You watch your fucking mouth. You were in my house. It's
studio.
I really did
podcast
try to
studio.
rewatch
not really
it.
a house.
But yeah, and it was the second season. But God, she just annoyed the fuck out of me in this movie.
She was quite bad. Now, let's also
But
Not
listen,
let's
totally
also
her fault.
acknowledge the horrible dialogue.
Yes,
right
it
now,
was not a
Yeah.
good script.
It was not.
And apparently,
It was
like,
not.
if we're talking about the development, apparently there were like 18 different scripts for this movie.
Yeah, I've read some alternate drafts, which is
yeah.
really sad.
Did you read the one where Jason was on trial?
No.
Did you read the one where Will turned into Freddy at the end right before he and Laurie
I
had sex?
think so, but I don't really remember. Like that draft wasn't that much different from what we saw.
It's
but
just
they,
like a coda
They
to
changed
it.
a lot of shit in the ending.
What was the other? Oh, and there was another one where Freddy was a camp counselor at Crystal Lake and had molested Jason, and that was part of where the
there was like
conflict came.
there was one thing that was left over from that draft. Like there was a dream sequence at the end when they had Jason sedated and he was
Yeah.
basically trapped in Freddy's dream world, which is one of my favorite sequences in the movie when Freddy has powers and fucks with him a lot.
Yeah.
He played a counselor that was like,
that's where it got laughable to me. Like there were parts towards the end of this movie that were sort of silly.
Oh yeah,
And the fight
Towards
scene
the
between
end?
Jason and Freddy was sort of silly.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah,
were in the dream state.
yeah, I think it would have been better if there were more comedy throughout because this was directed by Ronnie Yu, who just come off of Bride of Chucky, and Bride of Chucky was definitely a movie that had comedy from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
Well, so look, if you look at this movie, and I like to classify horror movies because I like to kind of dissect the elements of them. And if you look at this, it's kind of like a hybrid, and I feel like it's part slasher and part monster. And I feel
that's
like
interesting.
the slasher part was the part that I hated because I don't think it is a successful slasher movie, but I do think it's a fun, successful monster movie. You know,
Okay.
so those were the parts that I enjoyed, like at the end, you know, when it was like Godzilla versus Mothra, you know?
Okay, well, let me tell you this. So on Box Office Mojo, they actually divide up horror into genres if you want to
Really?
look up. Yeah. So in the top 10 of slasher pictures of all time, Freddy vs. Jason is second only to the Scream franchise.
What?
That's it.
Oh,
So-
I disagree with that.
Well, I'm just talking about financially.
Oh,
not
okay.
ranked by quality.
Okay.
Yeah. So the list looks like it actually goes in order with the Scream movie. So Scream is number 1, most successful slasher of all time. Scream,
Yeah.
then Scream
And
2, then Scream 3, then Freddy vs. Jason. And it broke 100 million worldwide. And a little bit of a fun fact, probably only Jenn cares about. There are only 2 slasher pictures in history that have broke 100 million domestically.
Really?
And that was Scream and Scream 2.
That's my favorite slasher.
So
and
he-
I mean, and you have to call it a slasher movie because I feel like the 2 franchises that it combines are definitely slashers.
They basically created the slasher genre.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And there are definitely slasher elements, like the first part and the kill, and there's a final girl, and there's the terrible places. But then towards the end, it's not really a slasher movie.
You're totally right.
anymore.
Yeah, no, it turns into a monster movie for
Right,
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of that's when I started to like it a lot more because I think it fails as a slasher.
Okay.
But I really liked like the monster movie because it's like your anti-heroes fighting each other, you know? And you get to see all their powers and that's cool, you know? Freddy says some wisecracking shit, you know, and and Jason's awesome.
I feel like you struggled with this movie too in a different way than Todd
I did.
Like the way they shit on women in this movie.
Oh, this movie is just male gaze all over the place.
It is bad. And I swear to God, every single shot of Monica Keena is basically a shot of her boobs.
Yeah,
and
I was
her
gonna
face
say that.
is like just the angles that he picked.
Right.
Boobs, boobs, boobs.
Did you notice that like every shot where there's a woman, he'll do like literally
an
top
above
down.
shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking down on the
It's
woman.
always an upper
It's
shot.
It was
So I
amazing.
wanted to talk about this
Hashtag
because
patriarchy.
How many notes do you have on that? No, I kept looking at your face every time, and you were just like shaking your head.
Oh, because it just drove me crazy. One, because Monica Keena kept driving me insane, and two, because she was so objectified, and that's probably part of why it was so annoying to me. But like, I wanted to point this out because this is a really good example of the male gaze. Did you study this in film school? The male gaze.
Did I study the male gaze?
I
did not.
It's not
I
GAYS.
partook in the male gaze, but I did not.
It's not the male gaze you can study at Tribe downtown. It's,
no. You know, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. One of the behaviors that I have definitely had to correct is looking.
Like, there's a lot of that in horror. Okay, so the male gaze is from Laura Mulvey, and it's part of feminist theory. And what it is when the camera puts the audience into this perspective of a heterosexual man.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So when you're
it was
looking at a
written
woman,
by two heterosexual men.
exactly, and the cinematographer was probably a man too. I don't know that for sure.
There are no
but
women cinematographers.
Exactly. That's why whenever you see Monica Keena's face, you also see her boobs.
Okay.
There actually are women cinematographers, in case people can't pick up on facetiousness.
There
was
are,
one that just got nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
This movie opened up on boobs.
Yeah, it did.
Like
Literally,
it opened with this girl on a dock by herself.
Who is that? That was her name is Gibb in the movie. She's the
Gibb,
second
That's
one that
not
got murdered.
Gibb.
I had to look
Gibb
her up too
wasn't the
because she
first
looked
girl.
familiar.
Oh,
Gibb was the girl with the
sorry.
ball cap.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
the same chick.
She was
I
the
mean,
one
she
I was
was
talking about.
naked.
I
I'm not
thought she had
responsible for looking at her
pigtails or
face.
something. Because I think I'm mixing her up with PJ Sales and Carrie.
I love when I say things and you guys clearly don't hear me because she would have given me shit for what I
What
just
did
said.
you say?
I
Doesn't
can't
matter.
remember. I can't remember.
You got to sneak it in later.
When we listen back. we'll do
I
it.
have heard a couple of things. Like, you guys apparently had something where
We
I
have our
forgot
own
the word
conversation when you're not paying
validation.
attention.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about feminism and you guys are just like talking about other.
Every time you start talking about men, women, and chainsaws or the patriarchy, Clint and I just like look at each other like, how you doing today, buddy? What are you doing?
How was your date last night?
And maybe this is
know,
why
right? I
you're
know, right?
single.
Yeah, I mean,
that's accurate. That is totally accurate.
Well, no, but
don't you hate when she has like a really good point?
I know.
And it hurts.
And then we feel the
I'm
pain,
sorry.
and we have to finish the podcast
Stay with
upbeat when we're hurting on the inside.
11 days.
just take a little break for a minute. And let them collect themselves. But yeah, but that was part of why I was so annoyed by this movie, and I feel like they really leaned into it. Like they were just going
You
for
think
the
they
tits and
leaned
gore
into
thing.
it?
They
Yeah.
totally
for,
lean to it.
For me, with like leaning into it, you're sort of like slowly getting into it, and
No,
until
so
you're
for
like,
me,
but
I'm
they
like-
start in it, like they're already in it.
Well, when I said leaned in, I meant like
Yeah.
fully embraced.
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
They're like,
oh,
we're going to
I'll
show
agree with that,
as
yeah.
many tits as we possibly
I think
can.
what he was doing was the director was trying to embrace the
Yeah.
80s slasher again.
Right.
And because we were already out of this era, like even we talked about this last, I guess it was Urban Legend, like the 90s slashers had cut all that out. You know, they
Yeah.
didn't objectify women as much.
No,
they did.
there just wasn't nudity.
Just not, yes.
Which
not as,
I would say is not as much as the 80s ones
And
did,
I think
apparently.
too,
I would
don't know,
agree.
never
it
saw
was
them.
like
Yeah.
80s nudity, so it wasn't like as like fake looking.
A lot of bush.
Yeah, well, that's more 70s.
A lot of-
but,
right,
you
a
know.
lot of
there's a lot of
We're gonna watch
there are a lot of
Carrie.
showers in
racing
this
stripes.
movie. Just
Yeah.
women being like, I gotta go
Yes.
and shower. You're like,
Right.
I
So
really
I am
liked
a
it.
fan of this movie, though. Like,
You
I
really
want,
like that part of it.
Like, I
Yeah.
love slashers, and that's why it bugged me because they were just targeting the male viewers, and like, I want them to care that I like this movie too, and like, give me a woman that I can actually look at and not think she's a moron the whole time. So that's why I was so annoyed for the
Well,
first half of the movie.
I feel like, not defending it, I feel like they thought that was the main woman. That you could look at her
Yeah,
and be
she's
like,
the final
you-
girl. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was partly the script just being really weak because she is not a final girl that I like.
Well, she's also not a great actress. Well,
Yes.
at least isn't in this movie, and
Yeah.
she doesn't get naked, so I wasn't on board for her character at
Well,
all.
that's because she's a final girl. The final
Yeah, I
girls don't
know.
get naked.
And she's a virgin. They
Yeah, because she's the final
point that
girl.
out. Dude, that whole scene where the nerd, and I realize it's a dream, so like we don't know if, but yeah, when he's
Yeah.
like, oh, if you pay for it, it still counts, right? I was like, yeah,
Totally true.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's 100%
Don't pay
true.
for it,
I was going
guys.
to say there
Sex
were
is sex,
various
guys.
Earn it.
ladies
Don't pay
in-
for it. earn it.
Where are we in the plot?
We're at the very beginning.
We're at the very beginning.
So when Jason kills the guy who sends Gib to go take a shower after he has sex with you, don't like to cuddle after sex. Get off me.
Right.
So take a shower.
Let's go back for just a second. So
this is the
Freddie,
very beginning. We cannot go any further.
Well, no,
back
I'm just
than
saying.
this.
Let's just set it up. Let's just set it up. So Freddie has sent Jason to Elm Street.
Yes.
That's all I was going to say.
Okay, yeah.
So go to Elm
So
Street. I can't get it done. I need you to churn up the fear
Yes.
on Elm
Yes.
Street, and then
so,
I can.
So
get
he
back to it.
murders whatever that guy's name is, gold chain douchebag, and then folds the bed up.
Yeah.
Dude,
This is what I love about this movie. It may have a horrible screenplay, but they go the extra mile with
yeah.
these
They
kills.
do.
I
That's
love
definitely
it.
where the blood
I was
Honestly,
like slow clap with the bed
that
bending.
kill didn't scare me that much, but when the bed bent, that freaked me out.
Wasn't that
He
awesome
didn't drop
though?
his beer either.
Oh yeah, well he was getting stabbed. He would not commit the party foul of dropping his beer.
Alcoholics
So that
never
really
I
drop
was
their
like,
beer.
this
even in
guy
death.
is impressive.
Yeah.
He's like one of those videos online where you see a guy holding like an open glass of beer and does like a backflip and doesn't spill any.
Right.
You're like, wow, you're impressive, but also should seek help for your very clear addiction
And let me ask you.
to backflips. Keep
Let
drinking, my
me
friend.
ask you, was that backbender necessary? No,
No.
it was not.
No.
That was for the
'cause
fans.
He was already dead.
He stabbed him multiple times with a machete.
Like through
yeah.
the bed.
Yep, and came back for the money shot.
And they leaned into
Loved it.
that too, and I'll
Oh,
give
yeah.
them that. Yeah.
Love it.
And then it cuts to Gib taking a very nude shower.
And then finding him,
and
and
then
then them
finding-
all
yeah.
like running out in the rain screaming.
And I do like the cut from her slipping on his blood.
And then she's like, "I'm going to open this door.
Right.
There's blood oozing
Well,
through, but
and then-
I'm good."
And then she sees him in the bed, and then it cuts to them running out in the rain, and she's just wearing a towel. That did make me laugh. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty genius."
Would you not
writing.
have grabbed a towel?
And they were all screaming,
No,
even
no,
the
I know.
guy,
I just
which
think it's
was
funny
funny.
that they're like, "No, you're not going to put any clothes on. Just grab a towel."
right, yeah.
Anyway, so then it
So-
cuts to his friend who came with him to the party.
Handsy.
And then Handsy's his name.
No, that's what I called him because he was always trying to get all handsy with people.
Oh yeah, and he was
Oh,
like
right,
grabbing
right,
his
right.
dick in that first scene.
Yeah, it was
That
weird.
was weird,
That was
man.
weird. So the cops show up the next morning, or not the
No,
next
it's
morning,
that
but like
night
in the
when
middle of the night.
when they run out and
right.
there's a cop on the street just driving by.
And
Yeah.
her father's around, and he's acting very strange.
Yes,
you
and
don't
like
know what's
trying to
going
drug
on.
her
I'm going to call him
in
Mitt
her
Romney
orange
because he
juice.
looks just like
Mitt
Mitt
Romney.
Romney.
He doesn't.
Yeah. He even has the white hair on the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a Romney-esque.
Trying
I'll
to
give you that.
picture Mitt Romney.
And he's like, all you need to do is just take these pills.
take these,
Take
yeah.
your orange,
Yeah,
drink
his
your
name-
orange juice.
That's
and-
Tom Butler. I don't know his name in the movie, but his name was Tom Butler. His
that's
actor.
weird.
I think his name is
Okay.
Dad in the movie.
That
His name
could
is
be.
Dad. Yeah.
So whatever the main character's name is, it's her dad.
yeah.
Yeah. So he's flipping out.
Oh, and then a
uh,
cop just walks in from the other room. Remember you said that? Like
No,
the door was closed.
yeah. So like that's later in the movie.
No, it was after he
you're
tried to
right.
give her the orange juice.
You're
Yeah.
right, because drink this orange juice.
Yeah, it's like the sheriff. It's clear that the sheriff and the dad kind of know something that's going
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
that
they
we
do.
kind of
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
later.
But the sheriff doesn't open a door. Like the door to the outside is closed. And
Yeah.
he just like orbs
and you
up
can
on him.
see it.
Yeah,
you
you
can
can-
see
Yeah.
the door.
And then,
yeah.
and then at the end of the scene, you see the sheriff turn around and start walking just into another room of the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Like
Not
lurking
back
in the
outside to
kitchen.
where the other cops are.
Yeah.
He was just like chilling out, drinking a soda in the the kitchen
Maybe
area.
they're
Walks up.
roommates.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the sheriff and the doctor live together.
Right.
Yeah, and we find out about 20 minutes later that this is the second murder that
Yeah.
has happened in this house.
Oh, yeah.
Because years ago, her mother was killed, apparently by the father.
Well, she's under the
Yeah.
impression that it was a car accident.
Which how do
Yeah,
you
I don't understand that. I
if
do
you're gonna
not
lie
understand
about
that.
like a murder, like make it a murder that was in your house and like create that lie. Because how do you like? Did you just destroy your car? Like drive it off a cliff? Like surely
Well,
the daughter
how-
would notice that the car is not crashed.
Well, the
Well,
daughter
would
would
she-
also notice if there was a murder
That
that
one, maybe
happened
not.
at her own house. Like,
Right.
where was she? They didn't
Right.
explain where she was.
I think she was
so
at camp.
At Crystal
they
Lake.
could- I'm surprised that nobody's opened up like a real life Camp Crystal Lake where you can go and there's like a Jason walking around, because that would be like
'Cause
a
no one would
a
ever let their
freaks
kids
like
go
us,
there.
but freaks like
yeah.
us would.
That
I would totally
sounds
go.
like the worst thing in the
That's
world
because you're a
to
little
me.
bitch.
That does sound like tempting fate, you know.
I would hate that so much.
Yeah, so Freddy tries to kill that dude, handsy dude, but he can't because he he's not strong enough.
Right.
That's right. So he tries that a couple of times.
And
Like
so then
every
Jason
time
goes and
Jason
kills
kills a couple of people, he tries again and just kind of fails.
Yeah.
And so he has
Not
Jason continue to kill him.
strong
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
him saying that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're at the part where the other guy, what's his name, that was at the party with his dad. He's on the porch with his dad.
She called him Hansy. I don't know his name, but yeah.
Yeah, Hansy, who
Hansy
also
McLetterman
is
jacket.
displaying some horrible acting.
Oh God.
Like that scene
I mean,
with
I
his dad.
feel like that just
What
is
did he say to his
without
dad?
saying
He's like,
in this
my
movie.
friend just fucking died,
Yeah,
Dad.
back up off my dick, or whatever he says. Like he's yelling at his dad. I don't think it was back up off my dick, but that would have been
I
genius.
don't think it was that.
Back
either.
up off my dick, and then
It's
they
like-
add the line as the dad just turns around and walks away. They
You better watch it, boy.
They clearly 80-yard that line. I don't even think it's the dad saying those lines. I think it's just some other guy they had who was like, this scene ends weirdly unless the dad says something. So.
And that was the problem with the scene too.
Yeah, that
Like,
was.
We got to fix this ending.
not the wood block yelling at his dad to get off his dick or whatever.
Get off my dick. Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep it together. Dr. Pepper up
Holy
Todd's nose.
shit. You can't say stuff like that while I'm drinking, man. I almost lost my shit. Get up off my dick. You
You know what that's from,
You
right?
added syllables. Yeah, that was from
Wanderlust.
That's
so
right.
so Jason shows up.
Yeah.
Well, the dude falls asleep on the porch first.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
Freddy tries to kill
Kill him
him.
and
Freddy
Can't
has to
do
kill
it.
him. He can't.
And then Jason shows up he wakes up, sees that his dad is sitting next to him.
Right.
And he's like, what the fuck? This is weird. My dad hates me.
Right.
And then he sort of touches him and his dad's head falls
off. And
which
then,
I thought was sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Todd thought
jumped-
it was terrifying.
I jumped the fuck at that
funny.
part.
Because Jason chopped his head off and
Yeah.
put it
Yeah.
back on.
that was about
Just
the
to
time when I
fuck with
started
this
to
guy.
really
No,
enjoy Todd's
I
reactions.
have you seen the movie Three Musketeers?
Of course.
When,
Well, you're talking about the only Musketeers movie, right? The Disney one with Kiefer and Charlie.
You don't
Charlie
like
Sheen.
The Man in the Iron Mask? We've talked about it before.
That
That's
is-
a Three
Yeah, we
Musketeers
have.
movie.
But
on
that's
the
Man in the
podcast.
Iron Mask. Don't call that the Three
Let's do
Musketeers.
it.
But that's about the Three Musketeers.
All right. That's the Four Musketeers. Continue.
You know the Bryan Adams song?
Yeah.
And has a lot of actors from
Stings in it?
Robin Hood, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So anyway, they that scene where he yeah, it's
When there's someone that you know. Sorry.
who sings that?
Rod Stewart, Sting, and Bryan Adams.
Let's keep it that way.
Oh,
I
I've got
think I
the
had
music
the
video
tape
over here,
single.
sir, because I
Yeah.
have the Three Musketeers on DVD.
Anyway, the scene where he cuts those candles and then knocks them all over.
Oh, and while he's saying their
yeah.
names.
So in my mind, that's what
Autumns.
Jason did to the dad. He just cut him so fast and so clean that it was just like his head stayed where it was.
It just
Yeah.
kind of falls over.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then his
I
son
can't believe
touched
you're
his
making
head.
an analogy with
Well,
candles and Three
these-
Musketeers. This
these-
is the best thing ever.
These movies are very similar to me.
The Three Musketeers.
Where Rochefort or whatever his name
Rochefort.
is. Rochefort.
Isn't that a smelly
kind of a cheese? Yeah, very good.
Can we just watch Three Musketeers and abandon
I
this?
wish we could. I hate horror movies so much.
I am out.
Because Three Musketeers is a great movie.
Oh, sweet Lord. Okay.
Yeah, I've got all those high notes. What
Anywho,
the fuck are
Where
talking
were we?
about?
We are on the porch. He just killed the dad.
Just killed the dad, and
So-
then he killed Hansy too.
Yeah,
And
Hansy.
that was kind of like a throwaway line. Like the next day when all the kids are at school, they're like, "Oh, did you know that that this other dude died that was at our party?"
They said it was a murder suicide.
Yeah, they said that he killed Rapey McGoldchain and then went home and killed his dad and
and
himself.
then killed
yeah.
himself. Like
So that's how they honestly, the cops, I do think at this point know what's going on.
Yeah, I
but
think they
that's
know
just
what's
the
going on
story
the
they're
whole
saying
time.
because they don't want the Freddy mythology to get out because that's how Freddy gets more power.
Well,
Well,
and
I was confused by this because the sheriff definitely is saying these lines. He's not saying Freddy by name, but he's like, I know who's doing all this.
Oh yeah, they're very Voldemort with his. They don't say his name.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's why I'm confused. He's clearly talking about Freddy, right? Because he is saying these lines in response to this sort
Yeah.
of rookie cop that's in the movie.
Yeah,
and the
Deputy
rookie cop
Charm.
is like, this guy is wearing a hockey mask. And he, I think that he is a copycat of Jason Voorhees, right?
which is a logical thing to assume.
Okay, if that's true, then why does the sheriff still think it's Freddy? Does the sheriff somehow know that Freddy is probably behind this somehow?
I don't know. I think
'Cause
maybe
that
they
part
were just
confused
so
me.
in the mode of suppressing
Well,
everything
they're
and
also
trying not
on
to talk
Elm
about it at
Street.
all.
Like I would assume it was
Right.
Freddy too because that was who
Correct.
was doing it last time.
Right.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't assume that some guy at Crystal Lake made the trek down to Elm Street to start killing people.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, even if it wasn't a copycat of Jason, you could still be like, "Hey, dude, somebody's killing somebody with a machete.
Right, and at this point,
Like, let's
in the,
investigate appreciate that.
Yeah, and around this point in the movie, we are introduced to a couple of characters that are institutionalized.
Yes.
And that's Will and the other guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Jason Ritter and the blonde guy. I can't remember. And
they're
apparently they went to
Mark Davis is his name.
This was a little unclear to me, but I'm pretty sure they went to the same high school those kids went to.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they did. They all know each other, yeah.
Okay, and they had just sort of witnessed some crazy shit going on Elm Street.
Because the final girl and Will dated,
and he witnessed
the
her
mom getting killed.
murdering. Yeah, but for some reason, she wasn't there. Like, he was climbing. He explained he used to climb in the window to sneak into her bedroom.
So why wouldn't he see her bedroom? Why was he climbing in and seeing her parents' bed?
Well, he was climbing.
Was the door
he saw
open?
through. Yeah, because he saw through her bedroom and saw, which is very convenient for the plot, and saw the dad go into the other room and kill.
Yeah, we are pulling on some threads too.
Yeah.
I think it's all gonna.
And I mean, I don't know why we're complaining about being confused of the plot of Freddy vs. Jason, but
yeah, it was kind of weird, and like I think it was kind of supposed to be a mystery, but then I ended up not really caring why.
Yeah,
they
you
were
don't
in
really
this
give a shit.
Well, I mean, they do reveal towards the end that it was actually Freddy that killed the mom and
that
not
had possessed
but
the
that is
dad.
up in the air for almost the whole movie.
Right.
The sheriff had sort of teamed up with the dad who works at this institution.
Yeah.
And all of these, there are a bunch of teenagers in there. It's not just those two. They had locked some teenagers up and sort of given them Hypnosil to kind of protect them from Freddy.
Now,
Yeah, okay.
There are...
If they had had exposure to Freddy would have still been able to get into their dreams. So he kept giving them Temosil to try to keep them
It's not
from...
Temosil.
I've called it Temosil.
Temosil?
All day.
That's funny.
Yeah.
For the fans out there, like, and for you, Todd, like, Hypnosil has been in the Freddy universe, like, from the beginning.
Oh, really?
has it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's real convenient.
Yeah. Like in Elm
Okay.
Street 3, I believe that was when it was introduced, and that was about a bunch
interesting.
of kids that were institutionalized.
So Elm Street 3 is the beginning of this?
Is the beginning of the Hypnosil.
Oh.
Is the
Okay.
beginning
I thought
of
you
the
said
I
it
Hypnosil.
haven't
had
seen
been since
that
the
one.
beginning.
I don't think it was introduced in the first movie. No,
It
it wasn't.
wasn't.
In 3, they have some kids that are being haunted by Freddy in an institution, which is my favorite Freddy. But then there was this wing of people in a coma that had somehow overdosed on Hypnosil, and then I got very confused as to what the sheriff and the dad were trying to do with all these kids.
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever really clearly explained.
We're not there yet. We're like 40
Sorry,
minutes
I'm
from
kind
there,
of
but
jumping
yeah.
all
just
over the
got
place with the
killed.
Hypnosil, but yeah.
So like they go to school. The
They
final
very
girl,
quickly and easily broke out.
Lori's
of their
her
mental
name.
Institution. Yes,
the final girl's Lori. So
Good.
Lori's at school talking to
That's not a rip-off of
Destiny's
another
child.
Final Girl at all.
Yes, no, not at all. And
Halloween, Jamie Lee
really,
Curtis.
really bad
I don't know.
comparison too.
I know, that's why I just said
I know who
that.
Jamie Lee Curtis is because.
spelled differently though.
So anyway, they're at
Halloween's
school.
Freddy.
Lori's talking to Destiny's Child and talking about the dream she had about Freddy. The 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, or whatever.
Which they
You
sang that
lost
wrong.
it when, like, that is another thing. Those girls with the jump rope is in
Yeah.
every single Elm Street movie. But you had never seen it before, and you started, like, you looked at me like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they're like, 1, 2, Freddy's. And to
That's
me,
the
I'm
way
like,
it's-
I've watched these kids
Yeah.
since I was a kid, like,
Right.
hearing that.
It was creepy.
That
They
They
rhyme.
sang the song
But-
wrong though. It was the wrong interval.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It bugged me.
You figured somebody would have been.
Well, you'd
Yeah.
figure somebody would have noticed a lot of shit that did not get
That's
noticed.
true. Anyway, so that's
Right.
when
Yeah.
when
And
Will's
so they're just
friend
real
comes
creepy
out.
in the hallway.
Well, yeah, but that's when they meet Will and Will's friend because
Yeah.
Will's friend comes up and like, that's because Freddy's gonna murder you. You're lucky you didn't fall asleep or he'd be stabbing you in the fuck, whatever.
He's like the
and then
harbinger.
Will's like, stop it, man. You're like totally freaking her out, bro.
Okay, can we just.
And then just faints on the floor.
She does. She passes out
Yes.
like she's got the vapors.
Yes.
Okay, can I just.
Cover her up, but don't cover
Yes.
her boobs so you
Nope.
can still see her boobs.
Why
Always have to see
would
her
you?
boobs. Her boobs are the main
Why would you
character.
cover her boobs? Yes.
Male gaze, man.
Okay, a note to the kids out there. If you get institutionalized and you break out, don't go to your high school
Right.
in the middle of the day.
Yeah. When
That's
there's a
straight
huge
where they went
crowd.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then it cuts to like all the kids being in class, and it's just the two of them that escape.
They're not leaving. They're just
Right.
running
They're
up.
like in the
They're
boiler
hanging-
room or something.
No, they're just hanging out in the hallway. And
They're at the Coke machine.
right.
Yeah. Well, they see those cops walking up, and they're like,
Like,
quick,
oh.
we got to pretend like we're at the Coke machines. And like walk over to the Coke machine, and then the bell goes off, and they get saved by the bell. I wanted to
Yeah.
see like Zach Morris in the hallway or some shit, because they literally got saved by the bell,
Yeah.
and then they
and the
bounced.
cops like shout their names.
Right,
Like,
they're
you
like,
are outed.
Well, there are kids in the way. I guess
Yeah.
we can't get them now. Yeah.
And can we just note that the not Jason Ritter, but his blonde haired friend goes to his house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just starts hanging out at his house for the
place you
next
look,
2
man.
days, and
Yeah.
they don't go look for him at his
Right.
house? Where are his parents? They do not explain anything.
No,
he
they
escapes the institution. He just goes home,
Yeah.
gets his brother's van that everybody knows about, and just starts
Phoebe's
driving
van.
around town. That was just
Yeah.
not explained
well,
at all.
and they said like they I haven't seen my family in 3 years. Like whose family doesn't visit them in the institution?
They're not
too,
allowed
you
to.
know?
Not if you're a little asshole, Jennifer.
Well,
if you're a little asshole, they don't love you anymore.
Which he used that little asshole to break out.
He did.
That was Jen's favorite part of the
yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah, when he
The
pushed his
fem-
ass right against the glass.
The female gaze.
oh yeah.
You can
So
definitely
gross.
tell this
That's
movie.
actually not what the female gaze is, just for all listeners. Where were we? He just put his ass up against the glass a whole bunch and then
That
just
female
grabbed
gaze.
somebody's keys.
Well, yeah, the guy who, one of the two guys that drag him back to his room after giving him the knockout meds, he grabs their keys and badge pass, and then
Yeah.
they break out, and that's when they go. But we're like
Right.
jumping back and forth, but yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing that happens though is they have a rave in a cornfield,
yes,
which was weird. Like I feel like in Scream when they had the party, there was at least kind of a reason because school was canceled, right?
Yeah, there
Yeah, but
really
this-
was no reason for this. It was
like
just
a
sort
rave
of.
in a cornfield. Like I didn't think
Well,
they
it's
had
also-
established this was like a farm town.
it felt like it was more
They
like
did
in a
not.
crop circle. It was more
They
like in a
did not.
crop
You
circle.
did say that's where crop circles came from. Yeah.
In the original, well, she is supposedly living in the in the Elm Street
Yeah.
house from the original
1428,
movie,
baby.
Yeah.
which is in L.A. and the
didn't know
first
that.
movie takes place in L.A.
Oh wait, really?
Yes, so
Do they
I
have
don't.
cornfields in LA?
No,
Not in L.A. No,
They do
because
not.
L.A.'s in the desert.
Oh.
There's
You
not
know what
much
else?
corn growing
You know
in
what
the
also
desert.
doesn't
Really,
happen in
doesn't
L.A.
it? What?
Storms,
Ah. Was there a
which
storm?
happens in every horror movie. It's storming this entire movie, guys.
yeah, you're right,
Like
you're
the
right.
only break we get is the cornfield scene, and even then I think there was like some lightning and thunder.
Yeah. Which,
But,
like, I don't have a problem with the cornfield because I thought it looked really cool.
Well,
and I
the
was okay with
cornfield
it,
scene is basically just a cheap setup for one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is Jason showing up and just going to town
yeah,
on these
that was
kids.
probably my favorite part too.
Yep. And
I
I
almost, if I had not I wanted to be respectful in the movie theater, but that's what I was thinking. Like that's what I'm going to do.
That's
when
when I was
pull the
jerking
paper
off.
cutter
I was
thing off.
I
I'm
was
just
not
gonna, like,
respected. I was not
fuck shit
respectable
up.
at all.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I remember before this movie came out, the parts of the script had leaked, and they were talking about this cornfield scene like before, and I'm like, oh god, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I could have used a few more kills. It was quicker than I remembered it being, but oh man,
Because
yeah.
I liked the part where he was just like whacking through people, you know?
Yeah.
But you didn't really see too much of that.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
starts off with a little sequence of I just call her Ball Cap because I don't remember her
Yeah.
name. What's her
I
name?
called her
Gib.
Smokey
Gib.
Dunker.
Gib. Listen,
Gib.
if a woman,
Gib is
is
drunk.
kindly enough to show you her boobs, you at least remember her first name.
Okay,
Pro
we're about to
tip.
get to we're about to get to David Bowie here. So Gib,
That was the name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was so proud of that joke.
Gib.
Like
Gib
Bowie.
is very drunk and kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
wandered off into
Yeah.
the field by herself and
Yeah.
then passes out.
And then sees her can I say ex-boyfriend, the guy who was mean to her
Yeah,
before
might
that she
as
had
well.
sex with, probably her ex-boyfriend, just his head in the corn because she passes out and Freddy's kind of luring her to the bad place where he can kill her.
The boiler
And-
room, yeah.
Yeah. And then the head says the same thing as like, follow me or whatever. And then it like disappears
You're
and then
such a
goes,
bitch. Don't make me
keep
tell you twice."
waiting. or
that's
what,
funny,
just
yeah.
the head.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And she's
but
like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
follows it because, well, it's a dream, right? So
Right,
whatever.
right.
And that's when light, bright David Bowie comes up and
In
decides
reality,
to rape her.
finds
Yeah.
Yeah.
her
Like
body
passed out
or
on
passed
the-
out body, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna start." Like he doesn't actually rape her in the movie. He starts like kind
Oh,
of kissing her.
He would have.
He
Oh, yeah.
would have.
Yeah, had Jason not saved the day.
Yeah.
Guys,
Thank
I'm just
goodness.
saying.
Jason is the hero of
that
this movie.
Jason
He really
is the hero in this scene at least.
Yeah.
He saves that girl from being raped and then
Yeah.
kills her.
So meanwhile, leading up to that, in Freddy Land, Freddy fucks with her for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of the first like full blown Freddy sequence we get in Dream World.
Yes.
And then he corners her, and he thinks he's powerful enough to kill her. He's about to do it, and then Jason in real life stabs
Right.
her.
Yeah.
And
Through
Freddy
Light
just
Bright Bowie.
Yeah.
her blood just explodes on Freddy's face, and he's like, "No!"
Yeah.
And-
She was mine.
Yeah.
I do like when Jason flings light bright
Yeah.
Bowie away from the. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Because you could see him for so long in the sky because of his light brights.
yeah. See how I kept the mic close to my face so they could hear that I
Oh,
was laughing at
sorry.
your joke? There you go. So.
So
But
then,
yeah,
so then
that's when-
Jason, yeah,
that's when the beef starts between Freyson and Jetty. Freyson
that's
and Jetty.
true.
Freyson
Freddie,
and
Freddie
Jetty.
at
Oh,
that
is that
point
their
is like,
celebrity couple
"Fuck
name?
this dude."
Freyson and Jetty.
Just no, it's just Freyson. You don't
You
have
like
to.
cross stitch it on a pillow for
God, I hate myself. Anyway, so yeah, but that's when the beef starts because they were like they were like a celebrity couple before that.
Well, Jason didn't really know what was
Right.
going on,
They were
but
a
Freddy had
team.
been manipulating him.
Yeah.
Up to that point. But so yeah, this is when Jason sort of encounters the two dudes that are kind of throwing the party, like the kind of the fat football guy that's kind
Yeah.
of like a Varsity Blues
my
knockoff.
God.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's speaking in some kind of. He's the only one with a country accent.
I'm
which makes
honestly-
no
Right.
sense.
Maybe
I'm
it's
honestly
his
surprised.
cornfield.
I'm honestly surprised you didn't hear me like, did you see Gib? She's a 10. A fucking 10.
I did not hear you. Wow.
No, I don't know.
So Jason straight up, he finds these two drunk dudes that are
Yeah.
throwing the party. They fuck with him. They start like, I don't know, insulting him or something. And he like straight up turns one of the dudes' heads all the
turned
way
Varsity
around on his
Blues' head
body,
around.
which was amazing.
Yeah.
And then Hurley like light him on fire.
They light him on
Hurley
fire.
lights him on fire.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then the fat boy goes running, and then he throws his flaming machete
That
across
was
the
cool.
field.
And that's
And
how he
was
got.
very
Yeah,
cool.
I did like that
Yeah,
part too.
then
I like
I
a flaming
got hard.
machete,
I
you
started saluting the ceiling.
Yeah.
So he shows up and just
Gross.
starts
Yeah.
slaying
He is
these
hacking
kids, which
children.
I am
Yeah.
so happy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in a cornfield too, which looks really cool.
Yeah, so here's another reason why I feel like this movie just went through like 1,000 rewrites, and it's just like it's just a patchwork job, right?
Yes.
All these people die. The main characters get out of there, like Monica
Yes.
Keena and Jason
Yes.
Ritter or whatever, and then no one calls the police.
But at least 15 kids die. In that scene, at least
yeah,
15
because
kids
Jason's
It was
kill
solid.
is
Yeah.
19.
it was solid.
yeah.
Jason's kill is 19?
Yeah, that's his kill count.
By the
Oh,
way,
Jesus, you kept count?
It's on Wikipedia.
Oh, sorry,
I would
sorry,
like to
sorry.
note that Freddy vs. Jason was the first horror DVD to add the feature straight to kill.
Really?
And you can just watch the 10-minute version
nice.
of every kill.
If you just wanna
it's
jerk
the
it.
best.
Oh,
it is the
my
best. No need to watch the rest of it ever
10
again.
minutes? What, am I going to jerk it 3 times? Jesus.
This is the point where the sheriff is like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like the sheriff is panicking. He's like,
Right.
But he's still trying to hide it a little bit. Like he takes all the shots from the cornfield.
Is this where he's really aggressively putting the unlit cigar in that dude's face? Like he's like,
yeah.
Yes.
He's trying to force the cigar penis into the new cop's mouth. Like it
Yeah.
was very oddly
Deputy
phallic.
Charmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deputy Charmed?
He was on Charmed.
Oh, I thought his last name was Charmed.
Yeah. All I remember him
Oh my
from was
God.
from Scary Movie.
Was he in Scary Movie?
Yeah.
Nobody
And
hates
Scary Movie and Dead Man on Campus. He was like the dumb dude
Oh
in
my
Dead Man on
God.
Campus.
He's also in Riverdale right now. He's Betty's dad, and I think he might be the Black Hood. But
He's
I'm
still
not sure.
acting?
He is, yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude, Riverdale has got Luke Perry and Madchen Amick. And
Holy
Skeet
shit.
Ulrich, too. Like, all the parents are like all of our...
You made
our-
all
How do
those
you know who
names up.
Madchen Amick? I thought
Because
I was the
know
only one.
everything.
She was on ER for a while.
was she on
Anywho,
ER?
she was Noah Wiley's girlfriend for a while.
He was
We're
also in-
really showing our age right now.
I know.
He was also in White Chicks.
Was he?
That's because you're on IMDb, Todd. It's not because you
So
remember
was Todd.
anything.
I've never seen any of these things. I never watched Charmed. I never watched White Chicks.
I never
like,
watched
never watched
Charmed either,
ER.
but it was on when I would like be getting ready
I didn't
for
watch
school
ER.
sometimes.
I didn't watch
Because
Dirks.
you didn't exist in the 90s.
I didn't watch Dirks Creek. Like I didn't watch any of that stuff.
Did you watch the OC?
No.
Then get the fuck out!
I didn't really like the OC that much.
Denied! Sit down!
Oh my god. Oh my god. These are like inside jokes and inside jokes. Guys, if you don't get these jokes, go back.
Go watch the movie
Right.
After Earth
Well, no,
if you
no,
want.
no. Or just go back to the beginning of the podcast and make sure you're listening to them in order because these are like building on
Yeah.
each. Holy shit.
Listeners. All right, where are we? So they
yeah,
pick up
so-
Nerdy and then they pick up Stony and they get
Yeah.
in the naked Scooby.
You mean they
van.
pick up
Yeah.
Jason Mewes?
They all go
Is that his
to
name?
somebody's
Yes.
house. I don't know whose
His
house
name-
it is.
It's just somebody's basement.
The
Yeah.
Stone Kid is doing his best Jason Mewes impression.
By the way,
okay, I know who you're talking about.
in the
God.
meantime, Freddy has decided to kill the blonde kid that escaped from the institution, which I thought was probably the
His name
creepiest
is
part of the
Mark.
movie.
yeah,
where
with the
he-
redheaded brother in the bathtub.
It was Scott Farkas, by the way, from Christmas Story.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
That dude used to live in my neighborhood in LA, and I
Wait.
would see him a lot. And my sister is terrified of that actor
Wow.
just because he has a creepy ass face.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a fox.
Yeah, I never,
Not like a hot
I never had
fox?
the guts to talk to him, but I'd always see him in like
Yeah.
the diner I went to and shit like that. But that part I thought was legit creepy when he was like in the bloody
Yeah.
bathtub and he has like Freddy's voice and
Yeah.
So his brother who committed suicide, either that or was killed
Committed
by
suicide.
Freddy. It was
I
like
think he was
sort of
pro-
unclear.
Everybody was killed by Freddy.
Yeah, I
if
think
there
is
was
what
a
was
suspicious
happening.
death, it was Freddy.
That was a creepy sequence, and he
Yeah.
sets him on fire.
It reminded me of Final Destination too. You know, when the brother dies in the bathroom.
He
I
also
don't remember that. I need to rewatch
Well,
that.
He also-
it's on the list.
he also brands into his back Freddy's back.
Yeah, and I was like, this is not Freddy's back.
I know
It's
this is
that dude's
This
back.
is Mark's back, but Freddy is.
I'm so happy that I'm not the only one who thought that stupid joke.
I guarantee
it's
you,
not his back.
none of the writers thought about that.
It
No,
hurts.
they didn't. Did they make? Oh, I'm sorry.
It hurts
Was that
that-
your proudest joke? It's Light Bright Bowie Freddy's back.
I like how you're doing like hand signals to show.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
The
She's
podcast.
rating her jokes.
Yeah, she's rating my jokes.
They were all
Yeah,
low.
Oh my god. No, Light Bright. Nothing will ever beat Light Bright Bowie. In the moment, that felt so good. It felt so good to
I
say.
could tell you were proud of that. 'Cause
Oh,
you,
man.
You leaned over and you whispered that. You saved that one, Todd.
Oh, yeah.
You put it right here in your
Oh
pocket.
yeah. And then I looked over my shoulder again because it had been 3 minutes since the last time I looked over my shoulder. Oh, I hated seeing this movie in the theater.
It was so fun.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Okay, where were we?
Although we went with
Yeah.
a group of people, and they seemed to really enjoy watching me watch the movie. 'cause
Oh, they
I was-
did. Yeah.
I did. It was fun.
I was
We had
shaking
one other
and-
person, Virginia, who I think she was a trooper. She hung in there,
Yeah.
but she, like Todd, does not watch a lot of horror
Yeah.
movies and was kind of
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck did
and
you get
she
me
was
into?"
going to go see the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary.
And we talked her
instead.
into the-
And we talked her into going
Wait,
to see Freddy vs.
You're
like, you want to see a
Jason.
real
I thought
movie
you said
instead?
she wasn't a fan of horror.
Did you say horror or
Horror. I don't say it like
I've
Clint
gone
does.
back to my original. I
Horror.
have ditched horror.
Horror.
Okay, so we got the Scooby team in the naked van.
Clint is just like, you're an idiot.
She will cut your balls off.
I think you're into that though, right?
No.
Not really.
No. I'm not into male castration. Wait, is it castration? No, I'm not into
That is something that has never happened in a horror movie. Have you ever seen? I've seen men be shot in the dick before, but I. Do
God.
you remember Scream 4 when that dude
Have
gets
you
shot in
seen
the
I
dick?
Spit on Your Grave?
I don't think I have.
Is that a rape revenge movie?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds like
I've
it
seen
would be.
Last House on the Left, but I haven't seen I Spit
We're
on Your
gonna
Grave.
watch it.
Yeah.
Like years
Or
down
maybe
the
I
road.
have and I can't. I used to get them
there's
confused.
been castration, just maybe not in the movies you've been watching.
Okay.
I would love to see your Pornhub queue.
They picked up
beyond that,
Stoner
yeah.
and they picked up Nerdy,
Yes.
and now
And
they're in the
now-
basement.
Yes, and now
And
the
then all of
cop
a sudden,
shows up.
The cop showed up and he's like, "Well, that Scooby van, you know."
And you're like,
Of
and
course.
you didn't pick them up before.
Right. And where the fuck did they get a naked Scooby van?
A naked Scooby van?
Because it's got a
Well,
naked
no, this is
lady
the,
on it
well, this is
too.
the brothers. They had
Yeah.
there was a line
That
in
was
about
his
being the
brother's
dead
pride
brothers
and joy.
van. Yeah.
You drive from the house in L.A. to the That 70s Show set in L.A. and have the person who airbrushed everything for that
Right.
show do your van and then drive it home.
I thought it
and
was
then
Phoebe's
you commit
van.
suicide and then you let your brother use your van, but don't tell his parents you're home.
It's just basic planning, right?
Right, it's just basic planning. Looking at you, Miss Fang.
They hatch a plan. What is their? Oh, their plan is to break into the institution to get Hypnocil.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, when they go back, there is no staff at this place.
No,
now.
they're
it's
just
like
walking
one
in.
security guard.
Maybe Freddy killed them all.
Well, no,
I
Freddy-
wrote down here like teens devised plan because it was the stupidest plan. And I think Lori said at one point like, "What Jason was killed in? No, Jason was killed with water and Freddy was killed with fire. How can we use that?"
And then they
Remember that
don't.
line?
And then they don't use that.
Yeah, well, Freddy uses the water thing, and
Yeah.
I read an article with both of the writers, and they're like, "Yeah, that was stupid. We knew it was stupid."
Sorry, America.
Right,
that
right.
was dumb.
I mean, the movie still did really well, though, right? Like,
Yeah,
Financially,
it
yeah.
did
Yeah.
because I think people that went to see this movie knew what they were going to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, this was a dream come true
Yeah.
when it
Right.
came out because I grew up watching both of these franchises. At this time, we had not seen Freddy in at least 10 years. New Nightmare was 94. This was 2003, so 9 years. We hadn't seen
Yeah.
Freddy in 9 years. We hadn't seen him in true form since Freddy's dead, like where he's cracking jokes and everything, because New
Yeah.
Nightmare is a very different movie, which I love.
is why
Don't
I
get me
like
wrong.
it.
Yeah. New Nightmare did not do well.
Right. That's what I kept reading. Like every time they were about to make one, a Freddy or a Jason movie would come out and just bomb. So
Yeah.
they would lose all their funding or whatever.
Yeah, and so Sean Cunningham, who's a creator, we'll get into this later,
Yeah.
but like he's the creator of the original Jason. He just sort of kept making Jason movies because he wanted to get to Freddy vs. Jason. He couldn't get it made,
Yeah.
and he didn't want people forgetting about Jason, so he made Jason X, which
In
is
space.
Jason in space.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
which we talked about in the intro episode, right?
I think
Your
so, and it
favorite-
got
the
canned.
cryo
My
freeze
favorite kill, and it got canned for a couple of years because it is one of the worst movies you'll ever see. But it is so bad that it's funny, not in an urban legend way. Like it's far worse. But anyway, so yeah, we hadn't seen these guys in a while.
Yeah.
In true form anyway.
When they said Infinity War was the most ambitious crossover of all time, I was like, I don't know. Have you not seen
Incorrect.
Freddy versus Jason?
Incorrect.
Anyway, so they go in, they try and steal the Timasil, and then they end up in like this control panel room or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Jason breaks in the facility and kills the one security
Jason
guard.
Mewes knockoff in this movie? Because they actually tried to get Jason Mewes, but he was all...
they?
Yeah, he was all hopped up on heroin at the time.
Plus, he would have been like 40 years older than everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Little fun fact, Jason Mewes was hanging out high off his ass in Nashville for a little while Freddy vs. Jason came out. Yeah. He hung out at Waffle House a lot, so we would see him there.
Really?
Yeah. It was a bad time for him.
Yeah.
But, they tried to get him.
He's in recovery, right?
He is.
Yeah.
He is, dude. He had a really tough road, but he's good now. But this was during this era where everybody was really, really trying to rip off Jay and Silent Bob.
And they did.
Yeah, and I think
Very
his
much
name
so.
was his name Jay. His name might have even been Jay in this
remember.
movie. Anyway, horrible actor.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and stupid stuff to say, too.
Yeah, he did have one of the best lines of the movie though when Freddy takes over his body and he's like, "I got this, bitch."
Oh, yeah.
Like he was good when he was playing Freddy, but
Yeah.
before that he was awful. So
Well-
anyway, he's getting high and
And then there's like the Freddy worm.
yeah, he gets
No,
high
guys,
and sees the
weird.
Freddy slug.
It was a roach. Guys, he's a pothead. It was a roach.
It looked like a slug.
Sure, but slugs are slimy. It very clearly it was a roach, guys. Think about it. It was a roach. Think about it in the head.
Do you know
of
anything
two
about
bad-
slugs, Tom?
Two bad writers.
They're the fiercest,
What is-
animals in the animal kingdom.
Yeah. But I wanted to note this. When he gets possessed by Freddy, how does he enter in the throat-vagina connection?
I mean, he deep throats this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he
does.
shrinks
He
down,
does
and just
deep throat.
dives in, man.
I mean, all you have to do
loved
is
that
breathe
part,
through.
didn't you?
All you
That
have
was
to
like
do
the
is
only part.
I did because I didn't have to see that fucking slug anymore.
all you have to do is breathe through your nose. You'll be fine.
And can we also
Tilt
talk
your chin up
about
just a little bit.
Spoken like a pro.
I'm so much happens in this like control room sequence. Like I
Yeah.
just get like Jason shows up eventually and kills
Deputy
Yeah.
Charm, dude.
oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
and,
Well,
And then
through the
Chris
power of
Marquette
electrocution, yes.
screams like a little girl. That was really funny. The nerd.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah,
nerd
nerdy.
screams.
And so did I.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
That's true.
Yeah.
You guys are selling me
So
out.
did I.
hate you guys.
You just told us.
I
that.
know. Well, I know that even if I do make it to the movies, it doesn't matter. You guys are going to make fun of me.
Well, yeah,
anyway.
that's the point of the podcast.
I know.
But yeah, so he gets electrocuted with the machete or something.
Right, and during that time, Jason Mewes, or Bobo Jason Mewes, fake Jason Mewes, is pouring the Hypnosil
Gotcha.
into down the drain.
Down the
so he's
drain,
pouring
yeah.
out all the Hypnosil down the drain.
Which reminded me of something. I feel like I had a funny joke at the time.
I can assure you, you did not.
Fuck.
And anyway,
right in the mic.
so he's possessed.
I thought that part was cool when he got possessed.
Yeah.
And he decides he's going to. Freddy is about done with Jason, so he's using this guy as a puppet, and he's going to inject Jason with I don't know what it was.
It was
Some kind of-
Timasil. It was like liquefied.
It was liquefied,
Hypnosil.
Hypnosil.
It couldn't have been
Yeah.
Hypnosil because it prevents you from having dreams. I thought that he had gotten something else and it was liquid.
You're right. It wasn't
Because he dumped all the
Hypnosil.
Hypnosil in pill form, and then he got
Maybe it was
some sort of
Timasil,
sedative.
because that's when they all started working together.
Team
Osil.
Nailed it.
Team
No,
Osil.
it was whatever they used to knock out Mark, the guy who showed his ass at the
Yes,
security. So it's
yeah.
whatever they used to knock him out. So it's whatever
He can
tranquilizer they're
fully
using.
dream. Yeah. And they injected him. Freddy injected him with a lot, and then the kids, I guess, decided to take advantage of this by. I don't know when they came up with this plan because we sort of
Kidnapping.
missed this
They devised
scene.
it.
Kidnapping,
They devised it kind of like off camera, and they're like, "We're gonna pull Freddy out, and then we're gonna make him fight Jason,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do it on his home turf at Camp Crystal Lake." And I'm
Please
like,
still be out of our
or you could have
neighborhood.
just taken him to the police station, or
Right.
which would have been a really cool scene. Jason
That's
just
how
like
he ends up on
slaughtering
trial.
everybody.
He gets charged with like 19 corn murders.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I had said that
I like how you added corn to it. 19 good old fashioned corn murders.
because that was the cool part of it. So I remember I'd said that I watched the first 20 minutes of it, and I think what I did was I watched that, and then I started doing something or like working on some homework or something.
So not watching the movie anymore.
Right, exactly. And I looked up when he stabbed Jason with those 2 needles, and that's when I started paying attention again.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? on. And for the rest of the movie.
So you checked out
and you're
for
still
the nudity.
confused when you actually watch the movie.
I Right.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
But at this point, this is when the movie gets good.
Yeah.
Really good.
This is when I start to
this
like
when
the
it gets
movie.
fun.
As long as Monica Keena doesn't
Well, this is when
talk.
it starts to get silly.
Right.
Jason is now in Freddy's dream world.
And as a non-horror scared little bitch of a man, I preferred this part of the movie to the beginning 45 minutes or so, because the first 45 minutes are like jump scare kills, stuff like that.
I think the two horror buffs in the room would also agree.
Yeah,
like
that's
just
more
because
the
I'm like, this
slasher
is what
part.
I came here for, to see these
Right.
two guys duke it
Right.
out. And so it was fun to watch him really kind of fuck with him in his world, and he's sort of figuring out that he can't really kill him,
Right.
which is also a lot of fun.
Like if he had just watched all the other movies, he probably would have known that already.
Yeah.
Well, and because you can't really kill him, like they can't really kill each other, so there's not as much impact when somebody is injured, and that's part of when it becomes more slapstick instead of like.
but they only do this for about 15 minutes, and then
Yeah.
Monica Keena goes in and pulls Freddy out, and then
Right.
that's when Freddy can be killed by Jason.
because he's in Freddy's dream world.
No, because when you pull Freddy into the real world, he's almost
Oh,
as
yeah,
vulnerable
yeah.
as a human.
Okay.
Todd, spoiler
Yeah.
alert or whatever, because we'll watch the original Elm Street, but that's sort of how they kill him in the original Elm Street. She has to go in, the main character, and bring him out.
So
in the real
I
world.
wondered if they introduced that for this movie, or if that was something you could always do, because when they're in the basement, she pulls his ear out.
Yes, which
And that
indicates
was-
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but then he always finds a way to come back anyway. So
Yeah.
not
Right.
really.
You got to have a sequel, right?
Okay.
They never make any
Well, in
fucking
the first
sense.
movie,
so.
you just turn away from him, and then he just has no power, and he kind of disappears.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
If
for
you
a
just
while,
turn
nice.
away?
Yeah.
If you just don't look at him, he
Like,
can't
I'm
hurt
not
you.
afraid anymore.
It's kind of like It.
Yeah, it is
I
very
had-
much
He
like
loses
it,
his,
and I
had
power.
thought
He
that last
loses his
night
power,
too.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you're not afraid of him anymore. So,
Yeah.
do we want to talk about the dream sequence real quick about
Yeah.
the Camp Crystal Lake sort of? This was
Yeah.
disturbing.
It was a little
It-
disturbing.
it-
It made me.
Well, when Freddy is
dives
fucking-
into Jason's mind at this point,
Yeah.
and brings up, like, makes him relive all of like
his
when
murder.
he died as a kid, his
Yeah.
murder, and
It was
he's just
sad.
sort of like this horribly disfigured kid. They never really explain why he's horribly disfigured. Maybe
his
they did
mom
in
is
the
messed
earlier
up.
movies. I can't remember, but they do keep the look of Jason as a child. It's the same.
Yeah.
They did a very good job of that. And all the counselors were just sort of, it was very weird. They were all like
was.
fucking on the porch.
Well, that was,
Right.
and then
in,
Freddy
in
becomes
broad
the
daylight, and Freddy becomes one of the
and
counselors.
then he just fucking is dead.
I knew
corpse.
she was
Like,
dead on her feet.
And then he starts waving.
you were like
with
genuinely
her dead-
disturbed
I
at that
was.
part.
I was
Yeah.
as well.
Well, and seeing the kids like bully him too, that kind of got me. I was like, that was sad.
It's like everything you hate in one scene.
It really is. Yeah, it's like this is really sad.
Nudity.
You know? Okay. I also wanted to say one thing
Necrophilia.
that nudity, necrophilia, the patriarchy.
Yeah, the patriarchy,
Male
bullying,
gaze,
the male
bullying.
gaze, bullying, yeah, all this.
And
stuff.
you don't like water games. Yep, it's all covered.
Not a fan of water
Right.
sports.
I know. I am afraid of open water.
Oh.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, I have a panic attack in the water. Anyways, because that's when sharks get you. I did want to say too. Deputy Charm
Deputy
dude,
dipshit?
He said what did he say about like Jason's story when he was telling the kids the story? He was like, and then the camp counselors weren't paying attention, and then they made the bad mistake of killing his mom. I was like, what the fuck? The mom killed like all
Yeah,
of them.
that is not
Spoilers,
correct.
sorry. Yeah,
I already knew that from the first one because people have talked about it. They ruined it for me already. But
Yeah.
Did you notice that at one point they brought, at the very beginning, when they were sort of explaining Jason and his mom is like giving him instructions, that they had brought the CGI faces back of like the original Friday the 13th characters?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
notice that. Was Kevin Bacon one of them?
I didn't see Kevin Bacon in there.
Kevin
I was thinking
Bacon's
about
in front
that.
of the 13th?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I noticed they showed the part of Johnny Depp getting sucked into the bed, but they didn't show
Johnny
enough.
Depp's in it.
Yeah, he's
Well,
in
no,
the
Johnny
first
Depp is
Friday
in
the
the first
13th.
Elm Street.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
the?
No, fuck. Kevin Bacon is in the first Friday the 13th. Johnny Depp is in the first Elm Street.
Correct.
But they didn't show enough of him to tell it was Johnny Depp, and I was wondering if they just didn't want to get sued or anything.
These movies weren't always garbage.
Right.
Todd.
Yeah, the first ones are all really good.
And they actually attracted some pretty good filmmakers too that went
Yeah.
on to do
the
some
first
pretty big
Friday the
things.
13th is in my top 5. I love it.
Frank Darabont, who wrote
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption, wrote my favorite Elm Street movie. Well, he co-wrote it with Wes Craven. He co-wrote 3.
Really?
We're about at the end of the movie,
Yeah,
so
so
she
that's-
pulls
she
him
pulls-
out of the dream,
Yeah.
Freddy, and so Freddy doesn't even realize he's out of the dream because he's about to destroy Jason in the dream world.
Yeah.
Which we don't really know if he could have done or not. But he turns around and notices he is on his home turf, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then like the rock music starts playing.
Yeah,
And you're
is
like,
this
oh,
in
this
the
is it.
cabin?
This is the fight. This is the cabin.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
fire. And they're like,
Yeah.
ZZ Top up the
my God.
asshole.
That is not what ZZ Top sounds like.
What does ZZ Top sound like?
Dressed man. It's not like that at
I
all.
just
That's
wanted
ZZ Top.
to see
Yeah.
your reaction, and I won.
Why look at me like that?
Because you don't know what ZZ Top sounds like.
I mean, I know.
Yeah, this is like metal. This is like metal music.
Like real
Yeah.
metal,
Yeah.
not like ZZ Top.
metal, like that kind of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like corn all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
With a K.
Todd tried to throw Reese's Pieces into his mouth and he missed.
I don't want to talk about it. All about this.
It was because of all that high-pitched guitar singing.
I have all the high
You
notes.
chewing.
I have all the high notes, ladies.
Disgusting.
So, and at this point, I feel like the movie has taken a side that Jason
This
is the more
is we are
sympathetic.
getting the fight now, which we've already
Yeah.
gotten a little bit of the fight
Which
in the dream
I'll
world.
say this: if you're going to have to pick Freddy or Jason to be your anti-hero, you're going to pick the guy who was murdered as a child, not the one who murders children.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because the fact that he was a victim when he was a child makes him more sympathetic than Freddy, who victimized children when he was a child.
And not to bring it back all the way to the beginning, but the first guy who dies, he's that way. He's such a
Yeah.
bad person because of the way he was raised. It's his dad's fault. It's the cycle of the whole thing, bringing everything back. I almost had you. Oh, damn, that was so close. All right.
So Freddy and Jason go to town. So
Yeah, in the
Jason
cabin. Down to
is
Pound Town.
Jason. Wow.
They are down to Pound Town, ladies.
Simpatico.
I couldn't remember that the other day. I was trying to tell that story to somebody, and I was like, Todd said something I'd never heard of before. I couldn't remember. Down to
I think I
Pound
made it
Town.
up. I Googled
That is another fictional episode. Or, I'm sorry, fictional podcast. Down to Pound
I
Town.
googled.
Town.
That's the
That's the
name of the
sex
Sex Sound podcast. Down to Pound Town in brackets. Porn for deaf people. Or porn for blind people. Porn for blind people.
Wow. Jennifer is on the floor.
Poor for
Down to Pound Town.
This is the best day ever. Holy shit.
Okay, so Freddy and
Okay.
Jason are just going to town. Jason is towering over Freddy. Clearly
Right.
has the
Yeah.
advantage, and so Freddy has to get clever. They're sort of in this like construction yard,
Yeah, and this
which
was
is
the part
weird.
where I kind of was like, this is a little silly.
Yeah, and they had those. What were those tanks? They had these tanks that were
Like the propane tanks.
The
He's
propane
like,
tanks.
Oh, now they're missiles.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah.
why are
Yeah, that was
why are
weird.
propane tanks at Crystal Lake? Like, what the fuck is going
For
on?
the helium balloons.
I bet they were,
straight
honestly, I
face.
bet they were scuba diving tanks. They looked like scuba diving tanks. And
yeah.
I don't know of a,
Those are way too big to be scuba.
Maybe they were
No,
going
they're
down
not.
to find Jason.
no, they're not.
What?
Bottom of the lake.
Yeah, maybe they were trying to find Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Freddy has some fun. He
Yeah.
fucks with him a lot, like cusses at him. You know, calls
Yeah.
him a dumbass, calls him an asshole.
And this
I'm
was
having
when
fun.
I started to
I'm having
think,
fun.
okay, I like Jason better. And that's when I started that thought
Why?
solidified. I like him.
Freddy
I don't
is
need all the wisecracking.
best. Oh man, you just don't like. So you don't like his wisecracks.
I do. I just prefer him not to say anything. Like Jason doesn't say anything.
So you like him. You prefer the scarier Freddy over like the wisecracking.
No,
joking
I just
Freddy?
prefer Jason to Freddy.
So what she's saying is a good man should be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
But still protect and
Yes.
provide. Hashtag matriarchy.
Right.
Did you say matriarchy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the female
Yeah,
version
we're
of
taking it
patriarchy.
over.
Just making sure.
Burn it down. But yeah, it was good. It was interesting.
Can we get to the
know.
point where this is my all-time favorite bad line of any horror movie when Monica Keena is, Jason Ritter's like, we need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to go. We got to go.
Yeah.
And Monica
gotta
Keena's
vote.
like, no, Freddy fucked up my life.
Yeah.
And Jason fucked up my life. And I'm not leaving till I watch them die.
Yeah.
I think she just says Freddy because Freddy murdered the mom.
Yeah. And
Okay.
she likes Jason now. Like,
Okay, she
tried
wants
to save
Jason to kill Freddy.
But yeah, she does.
And what
Yeah.
she doesn't know is that she does know. I'm like, Jason's also kind of killed most of your friends.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Right.
Well, and that was their attempt to try to make her a final girl and try to give her some kind of empowerment. And I just feel like it was so poorly written.
Yeah, I would say they failed on that.
Well, they
Oh,
kind of just
yeah.
sat
Yeah.
there and watched them fight for 10 minutes until the very
Right.
end.
No,
And I'm
that's
just
when
like,
they
this is-
sprayed all the gasoline all over the dog.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at Jason Ritter, and he had this look on his face while he was like pumping the gasoline. It was really funny.
But I mean,
can't
guys,
do it on podcast,
guys,
so audio medium.
Let's be honest.
What?
If I were her, there's no way I'm not watching this fight in real life.
Right.
Yeah. This has got to
just,
happen.
like, hide
I will
behind
die
a tree
watching
or
this
something.
fight.
I would have left.
But it will be worth it.
Yeah.
I
You
would've
go
left.
back to the Scooby van and you just roll the window down, and that way you can just peel out.
I would have
Okay,
been
so
like,
just
bitch,
watch
I'm
it from
out.
the Scooby
I'm
van?
out.
Yeah.
I am out.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have been there in the first place.
No, I would have been dead at the
You would have been
cornfield.
one of the first ones gone. You probably would have been a mid.
I would have been.
I think I would have been.
Like
I think I've
Bright
seen
Bowie.
enough movies. Like Todd is fucked.
like Bright Bowie.
Todd is fucked.
That is your new Halloween costume.
I'm not even joking. If we do like a Halloween party, I will light Bright Bowie it up. That costume would cost $10 at Party City. That'd be awesome.
We did
Party
something
City down the
similar
street.
Oh no, we
Human
forgot
characters or
about
whatever.
when Destiny's Child tried to like lure
Oh,
Freddy
and the
away,
nerd.
and he
And
wanted,
the
yeah, and
nerd.
the nerd
And by the
died.
way, this is ended up being a big deal later on the internet, but people had a big problem with her calling her using
Yeah.
the word faggot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we can say it
We can
just
say
because
it.
they said it.
the
Like,
we gotta
writers
ta- yeah.
claim that they didn't write that. They said they
Really?
didn't write
She
she
that.
ad-libbed?
Or somebody told her to say it. I mean, I don't know. That's what they say.
I'll admit it got kind of like a big laugh in the audience. They were like, ooh.
But it was
like,
right after Freddie said he wanted some dark meat too.
that,
so
and
like,
that was also a pretty
I-
racist line.
yeah, and I took that laugh kind of as a, oh my gosh, this was like 8 years ago. What the fuck?
Well, he
Maybe
would
5
definitely
years?
say shit like that in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know?
this
It
came out in
wasn't 5 years
2000,
ago.
15 years
Okay,
ago.
15 years ago.
Which I'll say this. I feel like that word was not as culturally significant 15 years ago.
It wasn't.
Right.
It should not have been said 15 years ago,
Right.
but
Right.
everybody said it.
Everybody was saying it. It was
So-
in a lot of movies. I just recently
Yeah.
watched
Yeah.
Can't Hardly Wait, and they said it a lot
did
in
they say
that.
Why you gotta waste my flavor?
Yeah. You remember when they embarrassed the main jock
No.
after he like
Yeah.
and somebody's
Yeah.
like fag, and he
Oh,
gets
do
all
they?
upset. He's like, "Sorry, call me a fag." But yeah,
yeah,
anyway,
well,
yeah,
so-
we were yeah. I don't want to say we were saying it, but a lot of people were
Yeah.
saying it.
I mean, apparently it was just being thrown around the Destiny Child's tour bus. She's,
Yeah, but that was so
she
weird.
was
Like,
so
why
dreadful
did
in this
she?
movie. I am
she-
sorry.
Yeah.
Like especially
And-
even when that exchange with Freddy.
Were
oh.
they trying to make it seem like she had fallen in love with the nerd because he negged her at that party?
I think that
guess
they
so.
they
Like-
wanted to have some connection that when he was
Yeah.
dying and he was telling her to get away.
Or she realized that she had been just
Yeah.
such a bitch the whole time?
So basically, Freddy and Jason just stab each other to death, sort of, not really to death, but
yeah, I thought it was pretty cool how they killed each other, though. Like,
yeah,
with their
yeah.
own weapons and their own styles. You
Yeah,
know?
and they both go into the water.
was-
Freddy comes
that
up
was
one
cool.
last time, and then Jason. Oh no, Monica
then
Keena
Monica Keena
chops
cuts her
his head off.
like the original Friday the 13th. Cut the mom's head off.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
So I like that.
That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
So then the kids leave, and then there's one last shot. The next day, Jason emerges from the water, still alive, and he's carrying Freddy's
Holding
head, and
Freddy's
Freddy
head.
winks
Yeah.
at the camera.
I like
The
that.
end.
I like that wink. That was
ambiguous
pretty good.
ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, apparently there was a lot of debate about who was going to win the fight, and they couldn't decide. And they filmed, or they thought they were going to do like a Clue ending, which I didn't know this about Clue, that there were 3 different endings.
didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No, when you watch it now, like you watch all the endings back to
Yeah.
back, but they used to they had like 3 different cuts of the movie, and you didn't know which one you were going to see.
They release it on different sides of the country.
Right,
So if
right.
you're on the East Coast, you got one. If you're on the West Coast, you got the other. And I think if you're in the middle, you got the third one.
the third one. Well, they thought about doing that for this movie.
Yeah.
But they were like, people will lose it.
So that's the movie.
Yeah.
Do we have any backstory we didn't cover? I think we covered everything.
Just
like
that
it just
was
took
in
a
development hell for like 10 years.
yeah, like Sean Cunningham.
Oh, I
did.
did. Apparently, they wanted,
You talking about Kane Hodder?
but they picked the dude Ken something because
Ken
he was
Kersinger,
taller.
I think his name was. Yeah, they
Yeah.
wanted a bigger Jason, and that dude was sort of like an extra and a
Right.
body double in part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
I'm sorry.
I
what?
don't-
Jason takes Manhattan.
Oh, you'll
Yeah.
get there.
He gets on a
You
ferry.
will
I
get
think.
What?
there. We might even open with that. Let's let you start at the bottom and then just kind of
What?
work your
Right.
way up. Yeah. Well, he doesn't
Does
actually
he
take
meet
Manhattan.
Katherine Heigl in some meet cute and then they start dating? Like
He
what
doesn't
the?
actually take Manhattan. It's more like he's on a cruise ship for most of the movie, and then he sort of takes Toronto
This
for a
is
little bit.
so
Or I'm sorry,
dumb.
Vancouver for a little bit is
Yeah,
what it really
uh-huh.
is. They did shoot a little bit in Times Square. That was fun. Everybody slams that movie. I think it's fun just because of how bad it is.
That's how I
But
feel about Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to Hell doesn't have a lot of Jason in it, though. That's why
Yeah,
I hate
'cause
Jason
it's the
Goes
heart
to Hell.
monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to show you a Jason
What
movie
the
where
fuck
an evil heart
is this?
will rape you.
What
Through the mouth.
Through the mouth.
Ooh, I'm on board. Lady.
It's his favorite.
All right.
There are still fans that are pissed off that Kane Hodder wasn't Jason in this
Yes.
movie. Yeah.
It doesn't matter who Jason is. You just need a tall body.
That is incorrect. I would highly disagree.
Oh my
but you're not a
God.
fan and you've never seen any of the Jason movies. So let's talk after you've watched some of them. But Kane Hodder had done quite a few of them at that point. He's my boy.
Yeah.
I met him.
Really?
Yeah, I got a picture with him.
You have sensitive eyes? Because that's one reason I heard that the other dude got chosen is because Kane Hodder didn't have sensitive eyes.
I don't know what that means.
We got a scary scale this.
I forgot.
I always have to go first. That's like a weekly
Yeah, you're the
thing.
virgin.
That's
You're just going to copy us.
You're also going to get, I know, we don't want you to copy it.
okay. So I put Urban Legend at like a 6, right? It was 6.
You did. You did.
I would say this is probably a 7.
Okay. 7.
You are Todd.
I would give this maybe like a 2 or a 3.
Oh my God!
But I've seen it so many times, it's
Oh
hard
my
for me to go
God.
back and I thought the only part that's still spooky is like the dead brother in the bathtub to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared by anything else, really. I'm going to settle it at 2.
I think I'm going to give it a 2 as well.
Oh my
Okay.
God! You guys are ridiculous.
7,
Well, we
2.
tie most
But
of the
this is
time.
interesting to me because
Should we-
this is showing me what scares you.
Do we?
Okay, so 6 and a 2 and a 2. Yeah.
do we have a?
I thought you said 7.
I did.
Oh,
6 was Urban Legend.
You're not going to give it a 10.
6.5, you said.
A 10. A 10. A fucking 10.
What I'm saying is let's ditch Todd.
Right. He's been weighing us down. He can still
He
edit
looks
everything,
genuinely
though.
sad right now. Okay.
Oh, Todd.
This is your meaning of life,
I
isn't it?
just want to hang out with my friend.
You can hang out, just not with the
All I want to
microphone.
do
It's
is
not with the
make-
microphone.
All
Microphone's
I want to
gone.
do is make fun of me and then make me edit the podcast.
That's funny.
You guys would be nothing without me. I'm a
That's
fucking
true.
genius.
Todd does. Yeah,
I don't
we
know if they
can't
know
piss
this
him
up to
off.
this point, but he does all the work.
And I didn't even want to do this podcast.
No.
Clint.
Right.
You know what'll make you feel better? Editing this.
Yeah.
After you get scared.
Right.
Okay. Jennifer, what are we
Yeah.
watching next?
What are we? Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so excited about this. We're watching Frailty next.
Boom.
Frailty?
It is the only movie Bill Paxton ever directed. But he also
Really?
but he also stars in it. I think he directed some TV, but I don't think he
What is?
I think it's the only movie.
I've heard nothing about this, so I don't know anything about.
It's
Frailty.
really good. And I would say this is probably the Stephen Kingiest movie that we have done yet. And it is not, doesn't have anything to do with Stephen
That's
King.
why she was so happy
Yes.
about it.
It's
I also
really
don't
good.
think it's very scary.
Oh, really?
I think it'll be better for you.
Fantastic.
It'll be better. It'll be
scary.
better than Freddy. It doesn't have a lot of jump scares in it, I don't think.
I don't think
Good.
so. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But I think this
Yeah.
is one that goes under the radar a lot, too. Because, like, I have some friends who are horror fans and have never heard of this.
I think it's an original movie. There's no
Yeah, I
it's
think
not
so,
based on
too.
a book.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
find
Okay,
out,
cool.
but yeah, I'm pretty
Okay,
sure it is.
cool.
But Stephen King recommended it to me. And
All right, so we're going to be watching Frailty, so make sure you watch
Frailty.
Frailty beforehand before you get next week's episode.
Hey, and if you want to rate us and stuff like that.
Yeah, please rate us.
Subscribe on iTunes if you're a fan.
Subscribe on iTunes. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Horror Virgin, Instagram, Facebook's all the same at Horror Virgin.
And especially if we've made any mistakes, tweet us.
Yes.
Oh, please.
I don't want to do any more
Reach
research.
out, let us know. Yeah, any corrections you guys want to send us to us there.
Yeah, just
Any
be nice.
hate mail, send it to Todd.
Yeah.
At
It's personal.
Todd J Awesome for the hate mail. That's my personal. Instant retweets if you hate me on
You
on
can send
Todd J.
nice
Awesome.
stuff to me. I am, but I lurk.
She lurks and jerks. All right.
Hey yo.
So
Hey now.
Not for
hey
Twitter.
now, what? What medium do you lurk and jerk on? We've got to take this conversation offline.
We have to.
Spin off
It's time to sign
podcasts.
off.
Yeah, go ahead and call
Yep,
it. I guess.
I'm Clint.
Oh, I'm the Horror Virgin Todd.
I'm Jennifer.
We'll see you next week.
Stepping on my line.
Every time. Bye.